Today we have a very interesting car to film an interview. This is a Renault Sport Spider, and the owner right here,
David, and this is my 1997, me and my dad's 1997 Renault Sport Spider.
And how old are you, David?
I am 21.
21, and you get to drive a car like this.
It's pretty special, I'm not gonna lie.
So I have so many questions about this car. First of all, What is it? Why does it exist? What's the history behind the Renault Spider?
So, the Renault Sport Spider, it was actually a homologation car that was made for the Formula Renault. So the Renault had a little series that they wanted to promote back in the 90s, and they wanted to have their own car for it. And Renault is really good at making really crappy cars, not to upset anybody.
Yeah.
But they're also really good at doing their Renault Sport stuff, like the Clio V6 and this. They made about 1,800 of them. This is one of them. And out of the race cars, they made 100, and we also have one of those. So hopefully you might be able to see that one day.
Yeah.
And that one's got no windshield, full roll cage, a sequential gearbox, a little bit more of a higher power tune. So it's pushing a little bit more power, but it's mid-engine, rear wheel drive, 5-speed manual transmission, 1,800 pounds. It is a full aluminum cockpit. So you can see here, it's like a tub. And the back and the rear end are basically like bolted together. So it's able to come off completely. It's like very separate, especially in a crash. There's like one photo of a crash Renault Sport Spider, and the entire back end's gone.
Really?
Like it shears right off. It's meant to shear. It's kind of like floating. When we get to the engine bay too, we'll see the engine bay.
Can you pop the engine?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Ready to go. Look at this. Woo! Little 4-banger.
16 valve.
16 valve. It is a 2-liter 4-cylinder made by Renault. And they took this out of one of their economy cars, but it's a little bit tuned up. It's 200 and something horsepower, like 210. Not too crazy, but not too bad. And in a mid-engine chassis with such a light car, it's like stupid quick. Like off the line, it just goes. And it puts the power down too as well because it's so light. It has cable clutch. It's really sticky and it's really hard to drive, especially when people are like right up on you in traffic, and a cable accelerator. So it's all cable other than the brakes, of course, that's hydraulic, but it's like a very, very stiff and real experience. When you're in there, everything's going around you, especially on the highway too. It's very solid, very planted. But man, is it like you're like connected to the car. You got bucket seats Recaros, very nice.
Yeah, the interior on this thing looks crazy with all the metal here. And how do you open the door?
The door,
because I see no handle.
A single handle on the inside. You just kind of pop it up and get hit by the door, and it's perfect. You can step right into your Renault Sport Spider.
Dang. You can see all the bare metal right here. This is the tub. I did not know that it was all exposed like that.
It is all exposed aluminum, and then on the underside, like the under tray is like an aluminum honeycomb. So they try to cut weight as much as possible. The body on top is fiberglass, I think I may have mentioned. And so that's what really is able to keep the weight down. My dad's a pretty big guy. He's like 6'1", 6'2", and he's like stuck in there. Like you're not like protruding out like some cars, like the Lotus.
Yeah.
And you're kind of almost at ground level, so when you're like taking corners, you are able to just like throttle through it, especially being mid-engine. It just grabs, it just grips. There's no slippage, there's no spinning. Just don't let it off. Like it might do like the Porsche turbo thing.
Spins out.
Spins out.
Yeah, you also see it's got sideways shocks
You
almost.
have sideways shocks, I believe, trailing arm suspension, and in the front it's like this, where they're like pointed at each other.
Yeah, can you pop the front for us? I see, that's crazy. The handles are both like in the frame of the car.
Yeah. They cut it out and mind the mess. But so here is our clamshell roll fiberglass interior, and then underneath you have your battery cutoff. You have all of your little things there, your steering rack, right here underneath the cowl. So if you look up,
Oh wow!
And they are pointed right at each other. I just did that job like 3 days ago.
3 days ago, 3 hours ago.
3 days ago.
And how on earth did you end up with this car?
So the story's pretty funny. Obviously, it started with my dad. He used to race Formula Ford and open wheel cars back in the 90s before he had me and married my mom. Went to one of these races, the Molson Indy, and saw Formula Renault like showing off the race car. And he's like, wow, that is a really cool car. I would love to have one day. Fast forward 2016, found one on a Japanese importing site through some dealer or whatnot, and we brought it in. He brought it in, and we've had it ever since. So we go to car shows, supercar show at the Van Dusen Gardens, and a bunch of other small stuff we got invited to. And Monterey last year, and that was a lot of fun.
You drove this car to Monterey?
We trailered it down, and my dad's from San Francisco, so on the way there, we stopped off by his like hometown. And funny story, we're driving through the hills there. I'm like, hey dad, you should probably like slow down and be careful. There's a lot of potholes. He's like, it's fine. What's the worst that can happen? And as he's taking the next turn, hits a pothole, breaks the front left suspension, and the wheel gets sucked up into the frame. So we're stuck, but luckily we had a contact in San Francisco by like Fisherman's Wharf on Lombard Street, a guy named Chris at Church of the Air Cooled. And he's like, I've never worked on Renaults before, but it's a cool car. He managed to actually thread the shock and fix it so we could put it back in our trailer, bring it to Monterey, drive around for the whole week, and then drive back, the trailer back. But
Wow. And then your dad also has the race car version.
so that's where the story comes back. I believe it was like 2022. He was looking on Bring a Trailer, as like every guy does. He kind of like searches through, oh, what's cool cars we can find, and he sees a Renault Sport Spider track car, like a cup car for sale, no reserve. Like, wow, I must bid on this thing. He puts the bid in. It was 17,000 US, and didn't think he was gonna win it, but I guess nobody knew what it was. And he's like, oh yeah, you won it. Awesome. We're getting it trailer to our place in the States. As it's getting offloaded, he's like, this looks really familiar. It turns out that cup car he bought was the one he saw in the 90s at the Molson Indy, the one they were showing off. And now he has his Renault Sport Spider that was inspired for him to buy, and the actual car that he saw that was like, this is it, I want to buy one of these.
Wow.
So nice too.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
an awesome story.
It's pretty crazy. Like we tell that story at Monterey, and all the guys are like, that's like unique, because a lot of people, you can go out and buy a car and whatnot for the most part, but like this is like something that's generational.
Yeah.
It's like passed down, and now we're both enjoying it, me and my dad, and take it to the different car meets and car shows. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of taking it somewhere, do you mind if we go for a ride?
of course, let's hop in.
Show 'em what it's like to ride in a Renault Sport Spider.
And you can sit on the back.
Jet, you want to sit on the back of the car for the ride?
Yeah, I'll just hold on. You can hold on to the... All right, so there's no safety features at all for the clutch or whatnot. It'll start in gear, so make sure you pull out of gear and make sure it's in neutral before you start it. You have your water temperature, your tach, and your oil pressure. And you're like, oh, where's my speedo? It's in the center, and it is right there with your fuel gauge and a clock that is very much not in time. So,
Oh wait, let me shut my door.
shut your door. You ready to go?
Dave, this is like a roll bar. The
Yeah,
door
it's-
handle.
It's full like cage. Everything here is like full like race car.
They use the
aesthetic.
cage to make the door handle. That's crazy. A little
A little like
baggy
net for things if you want to put stuff that wants to fall out as you're driving.
yeah.
It's not very accommodating to storage other than the front, but that is very hard to get to, especially if you need something. So if you're taking like golf clubs or something like that, just don't bring a passenger. You just put them in your passenger seat.
Yeah.
I don't want to break any speed laws yet. We're not even out of the little park here.
What a crazy car. Like if you can get a POV, it's so open in here.
On the highway, it's pretty nuts. You get like full field of view, no blind spots at all. It's really awesome, to be honest. I wish all cars were like this.
This reminds me of like a Porsche 550 Spider.
Yeah, I believe Renault actually took a lot of like creative liberties when it came to their German counterparts, and put that into the design of a Sport Spider and other cars that they made, like the Clio P6 I was mentioning. And so kind of just like implementing, like the headlights kind of look like, or the front end kind of looks like a Porsche, if you squint a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is honestly super cool. There's that no power assisted brakes, so it's all hydraulic, straight from your foot, no brake boost or anything. Your clutch is so mushy, and like you're trying to fight for the engagement point, which is nice. But you get used to it. You drive it for a little bit. Oh, we're about to get hit. That's okay. That happens. I got insurance. It's a very like visceral experience being in the cockpit, because there's like no music, no radio. You have a heated windshield. Oh, crazy story. The windshield is like irreplaceable. Usually you heat your windshield with like a blower, like a fan.
Yeah.
But they actually have little wires running through it. You kind of see it, maybe not on the camera, but there's a heater coil throughout the entire windshield. And if anything happens, it's like complete write-off. It needs to be ripped out. Maybe you can find one in Europe. I don't know. If you know any guys, please reach out.
There we go for all the Renault owners.
The racer has no windshield. And it was funny because stories about it was like people were getting hit with like stuff in the face. You have to wear a helmet while driving the car. They made actually street cars like mine with no windshield. Like, I don't know the number exactly, maybe like 300-400, but like some low production didn't have a windshield, but we're street legal. And that's the one Jeremy Clarkson, I believe, drives in his little Monaco drive through.
Wow. What an experience riding in this thing. And the view out the back is just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, your little turn signals have no clicky thing, so you just have indicators down here that you know your turn signals are on. You got hazards in the middle, a seatbelt warning. I don't think it works anymore, and your horn is actually on the stalk and not here. So
that's your horn.
That's pretty funny.
What?
It's like weird French quirks. I don't know what they were thinking, man, but hey, I get to drive the car. I'm not complaining. Oh, it's so beautiful.
And I noticed you have like little things around the car.
Okay, so you noticed how there's no roof, right? Funny thing, there is a kind of roof. It's like an emergency wind cover. You can't go past like 90 kilometers an hour. Use it. Like where? We've only had to use it once, and that was after a Father's Day car show where it's like swamped out. We have to get this home. It's like a 30-minute drive, and it's like a sauna because everything's cooking up. The whole back is open, so air and like hot water is just like steaming you out. And I mean, I was a kid. It was like pretty brutal. Every time the windshield wiper would go, it would spray water over top of you. So not the friendliest for rain, but there is a top. I've seen a couple like photos online of people who made custom fiberglass tops too, and they look pretty good. But you have to delete this roll bar back there, which I kind of like my head. So
yeah, you need safety.
You need a little bit of safety. Looks are not everything.
Did you mention how much did you pay for this car?
This car, so the Renault Sport Spider back in 2016 was 45 US plus shipping, roll on, roll off. And I mean, I can assure you it's probably gone up in price since then. And it's not like extremely fast, it's not 500 horsepower, it's not supercharged, it's not turbo, but it's got personality, and that's the best part about it. Good in there, I must admit. And so, it's just like everything about it, you hear the motor whine behind you, you feel every bump. Oh man.
It has no power steering?
No power steering. Oh, I forgot to mention that. No power steering at all either. So like you're really in there like a go-kart. You're kind of giving it your all. Wow. So make sure you do train shoulders and arms at the gym.
Yeah. I appreciate you giving me a ride in this incredible car.
I really appreciate you coming and like chatting with me and learning about it because it's a little hidden gem out there, a little French hidden gem, and I'm really happy to talk about it.
Yeah, and to meet an owner, now, to open the door, you just pull on this and then, wow, it just pops up.
Yeah.
I didn't know this car had butterfly doors until now.
This one does. The race car has no doors at all. You have to climb over the top, but it's pretty special. When you hop out, everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, it's like a Lamborghini."
Yeah, earlier there was an insane crowd around this car. Just trying to film this video took us like 20 minutes to start because there were so many people that wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly considering we're kind of at like just a random park. I thought it'd be kind of cool away from everybody. Maybe get a couple people coming and looking and talking about it. But yeah, we had like 5, 6, 7, 8 people just like at a time coming. Oh, what's this thing? Oh, tell me about it. Oh, where's it from? What year is it?
Where'd you get it? Oh, it's a Renault. Why is it from Japan? Isn't that French?
Why is it left-hand drive?
Yeah.
It's like always a classic.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to come to ride in this car.
No worries.
Appreciate it. Anyone that has a Renault, email you.
Yeah,
if you have one.
And even a Clio V6. I mean, like
there
those
you
are
go.
pretty cool too. So
yes. What a cool trip. What a cool car. I never thought I would ever get to experience one of these.
Now you have.
Yes, thank you.
Now it's recorded too. It's perfect.
All right. Subscribe to see more people and their cars.